Stop letting the fear of failure hold you back from building a life you're proud of. Because the choices you make today are the choices you will have to live with tomorrow. Welcome to another video. Today I want to go over some brutal truths, man, that I learned over the past years. That, this world is sometimes can be tough. The good thing is that I get to experience those experiences because a lot of us don't get to a certain age to experience those things. So yeah, I'm gonna go over some of those experiences, some truths that sometimes can be painful, but they're part of life. And the first one is being good to people does not guarantee that they will be good to you. Oftentimes when we treat people a certain way, we expect them to do the same thing, right? We expect us from them. And that is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for huge disappointments, Just because you're good to someone doesn't mean they're good to you. Some people just like to take advantage of other people, of your kindness, your good heart. They're just not capable of reciprocate the same thing you're doing. Sometimes it becomes a challenge because, you get so disappointed by their behavior. And you expect from them what you do for them. But it's one thing I learned is that it's a reflection of them. You should be kind to other people because that's how your heart is. And don't expect it from other people. Be kind because that's you. And eventually you will attract the right people that will treat you the same way or even better. I remember I used to date a girl, man. She played me so bad. I chose to be blind to it, and it got me into a lot of trouble, but that was my own choice because she showed me from the beginning that she was not the person she claimed to be. Another thing I want to add to that is don't let the way people treat you make you doubt yourself. I used to doubt myself, whether I was good enough just because that person treated me like shit. But in the end, again, it says a lot more about them than it says about you. So be the good person that you are and, leave the toxic situation if necessary. Life lesson number 2. The world doesn't owe you anything. This means that no matter how hard you try in your career, on your YouTube channel, on your hobbies, on whatever other ambition you have, the world doesn't owe you anything. Even me right now making this video, you don't owe me your watch time, right? You don't owe me your time because that's your most valuable asset. The world doesn't give you what you deserve because it's fair and because you work so hard and you think you deserve it. Oftentimes, luck, timing, and circumstances play a huge role in whether you succeed or not. And I know it might be a tough pill to swallow, but unfortunately, that's how the world works. Nobody owes you anything. Life doesn't owe you anything. And that's why when people say, why me? And why is this always happening to me? It's nothing personal. Life just happens. And by the way, we give meaning to whatever happens to us, right? The only thing we can control is how we respond to whatever occurs in our life. But the same hard pill to swallow is the thing that keeps us focused on what we can control. It keeps us going, no matter the outcome or the circumstances. Alright, life lesson number 3 is that time waits for no one. I can't begin to tell you the amount of times I wasted in my teens and even in my 20s. Until at one point I realized that I don't have forever. By that time I was around 29 and 30. So you can imagine the amount of times I wasted. Another thing is that there's a saying, if you do the easy things, your life will be hard. And if you do the hard things, your life will be easy. Doing the hard things now will usually benefit you in the long run. Excuse me. So instead of wasting your money on bullshit, and buying everything you see, start saving money, for example. It also goes with fitness, you need to prioritize your health. Doing the difficult things now, doing that heavy workout now, will benefit you in the long run, because if you don't, you might run into health issues. It's not a guarantee that you will grow older and healthy, but you can do the best you can to prevent complications in the future. Time waits for no one. And once that time is gone, it's gone forever. You can't take it back. It doesn't pause for anyone's circumstances, fears, or whatsoever. So while you're sitting here waiting for the perfect time to start that business or go after that goal, time keeps passing and passing, and it's easy to think that you have forever, especially when you're young. But be aware of the fact that life can change in a blink of an eye. Procrastinating and thinking you have forever might give you a feeling that there's no urgency. In the grand scheme of things, life is always working against you because you get older. The people around you get older and you don't know how long they will be around you, or you don't even know how long you will be around. Realize that there's no perfect timing, right? You can wait forever waiting for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment is today. The beautiful thing about all this is that as long as you're alive and you're breathing and you're healthy, you always have a choice to change the trajectory of your life. It's not about living life in a rush, but it's about acknowledging the importance of every moment. Life is finite and it doesn't owe you anything. So it's up to you to make the most of what you have now. Time doesn't wait for anyone, but you can choose how you spend it. Alright, let's move on to life lesson number 4. And that is that the people around you might not be as committed to your success as you think. It's not about the quantity, but it's about the quality of people you're surrounded with. A friend that you know since you were 5, it's not a guarantee that that friend is still a good friend today. And if you're really honest with yourself, probably the majority of your connections, of your so-called friendships, are more surface level than you think. The thing is that not because someone has been around forever means that they're growing with you and that they're supporting your goals, dreams, and ambitions. We need to be prepared and willing to outgrow certain situations, certain people, certain relationships. And even though it's painful, sometimes it's the best thing to do if those people are not aligning with where we see ourselves in the future. And I'm not saying to just cut off people randomly, but really look around yourself and be honest. Who's really with you and who's against you? And all the people that don't support you, they need to go. Because sometimes you have to let people go in order to elevate. Sometimes people just change, relationships just change, and it's okay to let it fall apart. Last but not least, life lesson number 5, regret can be heavier than you think. So if you're reaching the end of your 20s and you're turning 30 or you're in the mid-30s, you start looking back on all the chances and opportunities you let slip by. The what-ifs start piling up, and they don't just go away with time. And the more chances you let slip by over the years, the heavier that feeling of regret becomes. And at some point you start realizing that the choices you didn't make are as important or even more important than the choices you did make. So it's important to definitely take action. Luckily, you still have time as long as you're alive, like I said before. You can start taking the steps today in order to change your life. You can start taking the steps and making changes now in order to prevent the feeling of what could have been in the future. Our life doesn't have to be defined by missed chances. Stop letting the fear of failure hold you back from building a life you're proud of. Because the choices you make today are the choices you will have to live with tomorrow. So make those choices count before regret is the only thing you'll ever carry around with you. So those were the 5 brutal life lessons. If you made it this far, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. And as usual, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.